All right, so the common dilemma with webcams are their focal length, and a lot of times their focal length is set in stone. It's either too wide, showing the messy office or room that you have, or maybe too close, just showing a little too much this. Well, the Okiolabs A10 Webcam is aiming to fix all that, and it does it pretty well. Don't go anywhere. Up next. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Lo for Lo Knows Tech, checking out some cool and interesting gear and giving you my honest thoughts about it. All right, so let's talk about the Okiolabs A10. This is a 4K webcam and it promises to actually track your movements, and it does it in a really amazing fashion. Let's take a closer look of the Okiolabs A10 webcam and see what we got here. Now, the initial feel and build of the webcam, it's a very light, plasticky type of feel. You've got your normal mounting bracket here to put on either your desktop monitor or actually your laptop. It also has a 1/4-inch screw at the bottom here, so you can put on tripod and set it there. You've got the Okiolabs in the front. You've got actually a privacy cam right here to block the webcam. You have 2 microphones in the front, and you have a status light right here to let you know when your tracking is on or off. AI auto framing is what it does. Your 4K, and it has a f1.8, means it's bringing a lot of light, and actually does as well. Of course, you've got your signature here in the back as well. And it has a little switch here to turn on and off the focus tracking. Like I said before, the build and feel, it's a bit light and it feels a little plastically, but don't let that turn you off. This does deliver a powerful image. As far as accessories, it's straight run-of-the-mill. Of course, you get the webcam itself, you get literature, you get a USB-A to USB-C adapter so you can connect it to USB ports, and you also get a little tripod as well to mount this on. Let's talk about stats real quick. The A10 webcam does 4K 30 frames per second, 1080p 30 frames per second, also 720p at 30 frames per second. It's got a Sony Starvis CMOS sensor, a field of view of 125 degrees, an aperture of f1.8, which is, you get a lot of light there. AI auto framing, like I said before, you get on and off schedule selectable there. Auto light correction, auto white balancing, dual stereo microphones. It's got a cable length of 6.5 feet, which is pretty generous. And of course, it works with Windows 10, MacBook, and things like that. You're run-of-the-mill. Installing is simple. Just connect it to your desktop or your laptop. It loads up the drivers and you're done. Okay, so enough of the specs. Let's see what the A10 can actually do. All right, so here we go. Here's the A10 in 4K, and off the bat from my test, this thing yields a very sharp image. The colors look nice, the image looks nice. The only thing is, just keep in mind right now we are recording in 4K, so there is a considerable delay when it comes to what you're recording in 4K and also what you're actually seeing happening as you're monitoring it. Ideally, if you're going to record in 4K, it's just to record and not to actually do a live stream. Now, with that being said, most streaming devices are not recording or streaming in 4K. Well, you could probably stream in 4K on OBS, but with that being said, as I'm recording this right now in 4K, there is a considerable delay. So you just may want to use this as a recording when it comes to that. All right, so now let's look at the camera control software for the Okiolabs A10. And we got right here, I've got 2 different softwares for it, right? We have a control option to the left, and of course the OkiCam snapshot and recorder. We can do cool little things with it. Overall, you have your basic functions for your control camera right here, right? You could actually, you can actually move with the zoom if you want, right? You can actually flip the mirror direction. Looks like it's kind of locked in right now. Now you can set your exposure if you like, and leave it off. Set your white balance. You can go to advanced, and play with the gain, color, saturation, brightness, sharpness, and there's a little more here as well. Off the bat, I like the way it looks. It could use some little additional adjustments, but I like the way it looks right here. Okay, and I just want to say right now that I'm capturing this in 1080p. From my experiences so far, recording in 4K, especially if you're trying to record over recording, is a massive resource hog. So just to kind of give you a sense of what this looks like, I'm recording in 1080p. I'm going to switch over right now to a direct recording of 4K. All right, so I just want to talk a little bit more about the 4K resolution on this webcam. Previously, because I was recording in 4K and also capturing at 4K my screen, it was really bogging down my system, so you really couldn't see the 30 frames per second of the 4K. Now I'm just recording just straight 4K, nothing else recorded. And yeah, you can really see the quality of the 4K. It's really sharp and detailed. You can see my hair, the skin, and all those things. It really captures 4K detail really well. Again, it's a fabulous. Well, it's a really good sensor when it comes to the 4K. Now, with that being said, when it comes to follow mode, you do have to turn 4K off. You have to be in 1080p when you want to do the follow mode. So let's switch over to 1080p. We might see a slight degradation in quality as far as image quality, but we'll get to test out that 1080p now. Follow mode. Okay, here we are, we're in 4K, and now let's activate the follow mode. All we have to do is just flick on the switch on the back of the camera. And there you go, now it activates the follow mode. Now whenever I move my head, the camera will just, it'll focus directly on my face and it'll track me wherever I'm going. There you go. And it's just, again, it's using the full range of that 4K sensor detail, and it's just panning and zooming and cropping just to get that image. Now let's test it out in a different environment. Now, not only can you use this webcam for just one-on-one right here in front of you, but if you're, ideally, if you're using this in a big group setting, if you're having business talks or group talks or, study talks, you can use this webcam to capture the entire field of view as people move around and actually get a nice view, or it'll frame it properly for it. I'll show you a test right here when I was using my kids as the examples, where we're just walking around the room and we're going back and forth, and the camera is just doing what it can to get all of us in frame when we're farther apart or close together. Also, let's do a voice test as well for the webcam right here in front of us.
All right, so this is a test recording of what the microphone sounds like from probably like 2 feet away, using this as a normal microphone for a webcam.
So far, it's okay, but it's a serviceable webcam. You might want to look into something maybe a little, I don't know, maybe a second source of audio when you're getting a little too far from it. It's decent when you're close, but if you're getting a little too far away, like in this example.
Okay, so this is a test of the microphone. Right now we're probably about like 4 feet away from the microphone, and we'll walk around so you can get a sense of what the microphone sounds like from various distances. All right, so this is what the microphone sounds like from here, probably about maybe 10, 12 feet away. And now this is what the microphone sounds like from over here. Let's go further back. And this is what the microphone sounds like from all the way back here.
All right, so what are my final thoughts when it comes to the Okiolabs A10 4K webcam? Well, I gotta tell you, I really like it a lot. When I first took this out of the box and set it up, I was blown away by the 4K image. This is a really sharp looking webcam. I wish the build was a little better. For how good it looks, I'm expecting for this thing to have a bit of a harder casing, but to my surprise, maybe it doesn't need that much of a hard casing. So resolution, the color, the image quality looks really good. At 4K and 1080p, I gotta tell you, 4K and 1080p, they look really good. Obviously the 4K looks sharper, more detailed, but that 1080p, man, it's just as good. It's just as good. And of course, the 1080p is exclusively for the follow mode. No, 1080p and 720p, those are follow mode. My cons is for the webcam. Well, number one, like any webcam, the microphone could have been better. I'm not hating on the microphone, but it's a webcam microphone. You're gonna get a webcam microphone sounding. It's serviceable for what you're trying to do, but if you're trying to get better audio, then you might want to consider a second source. Second thing, when it comes to the follow thing, from the follow software, from my experiences, it's a bit wonky. Sometimes when I switch the switch on, it'll work, and sometimes it won't. I would have to reset it by going to 720p and then coming back out, and then going with that. It worked just fine with programs like Zoom and other things like that. Well, I'm not gonna say other things like that. I've just used exclusively on Zoom, but it worked just fine on that. Image quality looked great. It responded great. The zoom and follow worked great. Again, it's that little wonkiness. Sometimes the follow wants to work when it wants to, but most of the time it does work, if that makes sense. Not sure if that'll be fixed in a firmware update, but I have to say that happened a few times, but I just want to mention that it did happen a couple times. And guys, that's it. This is my review of the Okiolabs A10 Webcam 4K. Again, it's a fantastic looking webcam. I've got a lot of good things to say about it. Links down below to check it out for yourself, see some other reviews, or maybe if you're interested in getting one as well. And that's it, guys. So no longer have to worry about the ups and downs or sticking with a certain focal length with the Okiolabs A10 webcam. You can set it and forget it to however the frame you want. All right, guys, that is it. Remember, learn, do, share. Catch you later. Bye.